Konnichiwa, Nihon Cricket Pod Yokoso. Welcome to the Japan Cricket Podcast. I am your host, Alan Kerr, and returning. I feel a bit dirty. I feel like I cheated on him because I did a podcast with Daniel Beswick when he wasn't here. But back in his rightful seat is Todd Luckhurst. Hi, Toddy. How are you?
Oh, sorry, then my phone rang. Well, thanks, Alan.
Oh,
Yeah,
timing.
back home. Sorry, yeah, good timing, of course. Been talking about 20 minutes, just having a chat, and now the phone rings. Good timing. But yes, back in Melbourne. Missed the pod which you did with Bez. I think I was in transit, so did have a listen. That was very good, and yeah, what a busy 3 weeks it was in Sano for me and for you. I know that's still going with the WJPL, and that's well underway, and some good cricket being played. But yes, it was very busy. I'll give you that, and everyone did such a great job.
Yeah, it's been good. We were saying off air before we came on that, yeah, in terms of a busy spell, it's probably my longest, I reckon. But it's actually been pretty enjoyable. I think looking back to the start of when you arrived, that was definitely the most stressful part. I think those first sort of few days around the Futures League and the JPL. But since the EAP got underway, we've been blessed with some pretty good weather, and some pretty decent cricket being played. So all in all, yeah, it's been really positive. I guess that's where we should start, Toddy. We should start at the JPL. Um, it was impacted by the weather. It was impacted by pitch conditions, and we ended up playing on the synthetic pitch, which wasn't ideal, particularly for you as someone who'd flown in to curate the wicket. But it was probably the only way that we could actually get some games on, and enabled us to at least get some cricket played. And I think the cricket we saw was pretty decent, don't you reckon?
Yeah, I thought the tournament was good. Yeah, we had some challenges with new wicket squares being laid on both ground one and two, so new soil dug out. There's some delays in the project, so it was delayed by a couple of months and just got finished about 3 weeks before I arrived. So there's some challenges with making wickets ready to play on, and we decided when I arrived, we had some rain and yeah, it didn't look too good, and we are a bit worried about the upcoming EAP tournament. To be honest, I was more concerned about that. So we decided to move the tournament over to the synthetic. But the great thing about it was that everyone was fully supportive of it. The pro players, they didn't care. Everyone was just happy to play cricket. So I thought it was a fantastic result. We did have some challenges with some rain and some wet wickets. Had to make a decision to have a go and put the roller on to try and consolidate the square before the JPL. And luckily, it worked out well. Otherwise, would have been a bit of trouble. But we started pretty much straight away, and the tournament rolled on.
Yeah, you mentioned the pro players. Actually, it just got things popping up into my memory that had kind of disappeared over the last couple of weeks. But I remember chatting to Jack Wildermuth when he arrived. He got in a day earlier than everyone else and came up to the SICG and used the gym. And I said to him, look, it looks like we're going to be playing on the synthetic pitch. So I'm sorry about that. And he was like, oh, couldn't care less. He's like, more chance of scoring some runs on that. So I'd rather play on that than a tricky track. So I was very happy with it. And all the guys, like the attitude of the pro players, particularly, really impressed me. They all just kind of got on with it, mucked in. They all got along with their teammates and brought a lot to the competition. It was great to see Will Bassisto pick up the tournament MVP. I think he took 8 or 9 wickets across the tournament and was like the second or third leading run scorer as well. Showed some real class on the field, but also led his team very, very well. He ended up leading East Kanto Sunrisers in the final after Kendall did his ankle, not paying any attention on the penultimate day of the tournament. So, Will stepped in and captained the team, and it was really noticeable how quickly he had sort of assimilated into that group and how he'd learned everyone's names and was able to set fields and marshal the troops. So I think he was a terrific asset. Brownie did what he always does and whacked the ball miles. Probably a standout memory from the whole tournament is Josh scoring what 90 off about 30 balls, losing 11 balls into the field, and then at the end of the game, offering to go and get him, climbing into the bushes and just that classic line of yeah, I know where I hit him, and then managing to retrieve 9 balls from the wilderness. There's a good photo of that which I've got actually, which I'll share at some point. So yeah, Brownie, he said to me at the end of the tournament, I asked him if he'll be back again next year for a fourth in succession, and he just said, "Oh, if I'm not at the IPL, mate, I'll always be here." So that was a really nice, you know, endorsement, I guess, from Brownie and yeah, and I think the other guys, Paddy, Jack, and Dimmoth had a great time as well. Dimmoth, has actually messaged me today, saying that he's really keen to stay involved in Japan cricket. He'd love to do some coaching with us if he can. So, we're building the network of people that we have, and I think that's something that's really powerful that the JPL does, and we'll come on to that when we talk about the WJPL a bit later because I think it's doing the same thing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But not just the pro players either. I found the coaches who came over were great too. Everyone
Yeah,
got involved, and even the assistant coaches they were involved, and everyone wants to come back, which is fantastic. So I didn't hear anyone say they didn't want to come back next year, which is great, and hopefully everyone can make it back. And yeah, it's at an interesting stage now. The JPL. We've spoken about this offline, and how can it excel and um, increase participation and get better with the amount of grounds and all the challenges that would come with having a bigger tournament, time off work, etc. Getting more people to come over. So it's at an interesting stage. I think it's definitely going to grow quick. How fast and how far it can go is anyone's guess. But yeah, it's at that stage now, isn't it, where it can really take off.
yeah. Just mentioning the coaches, there was one day in particular actually when we were pulling covers over on ground two, and I remember looking up and seeing, Wilbur Seastow, Paddy Dooley, Kendall. I think Dunk was there. I think Rusty was there. So you got coaches, players, pros, all from overseas, all sort of big characters, and they're all mucking in and helping with the covers, which was really cool. And yeah, in terms of the future of the tournament, tons of ideas, tons of options. Do we keep it in Sano? Do we move it to Nagoya, for example? Do we copy the format that the girls are currently playing, and play on one ground and do it over 5 days or 6 days? Five teams could all play each other once and still have a final across 6 days, and everyone gets one rest day, and then it reduces the workload, but it lengthens the tournament. Could we do that? Could we make it a 10-day tournament over 2 weekends and bring in a sixth team? There's so many options of what we could do. I am starting to feel, just going back to Brownie losing all the balls. He wasn't the only one, incidentally, losing balls on ground two. I'm starting to think that maybe ground two might not be suitable for the standard of cricket that we're playing on it, purely because of size. Unless we can get some netting up to save the balls, it is actually becoming a bit of an issue. So that's a topic to discuss as well. So yeah, I think the JPL is in a really good place. I know that it was probably, of all the tournaments that we've had, of all the cricket we've had, sorry, across the last sort of 4 weeks, and even beyond that, actually, with the junior girls and the Futures League, the JPL has probably been the one that was hit hardest, and is probably the biggest. I don't want to say disappointment, but probably cause of regret that I've got, just in terms of things we can't control. The weather, we can't control that. So that's one that I'm kind of sitting and stewing on, and there's definitely conversations to be had about what it does next. But at the same time, I think it's still ticked a lot of boxes. The guys all had a great time, and as you said, everyone wants to come back, and there's more people reaching out, interested to get involved. So that shows that it must be doing something right, and I think the response online was really positive. Moving on from the JPL, as you mentioned, we had to sort of protect the square, and we ended up moving all the way across from the Syntho all the way to pitches 2 and 3 on the far side, of the old square, for the East Asia Pacific qualifiers. You and I had a bit of a chat around the games in Nagoya already on the pod with Daniel, and I spoke to him the day after Japan had lost to the Cook Islands, which I think was the day that you were traveling, wasn't it? That day.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so a frustrating game, that one, and one of those. When I was talking with Daniel, I was very aware that it was a emerging cricket crossover, so I was kind of trying to be very diplomatic, but yeah, definitely stung, that defeat. But I think I was chatting to some of the coaches, the following day, and they were saying, we've lost like 5 games in 3 years or something. So just because you slip up in one doesn't mean you're automatically a bad cricket team. And actually, I think the response of the boys and the way that they then went out and performed against Samoa, and absolutely trounced them by 9 wickets, was a huge credit to the group and their ability to respond to a disappointing result. And that Saturday, to be honest, Tolly, I hate to say it, but that was probably the best day. the Saturday we beat Samoa. It was a really it was a complete performance from the guys. They played some brilliant cricket. They bowled out Samoa for I can't remember like 80 odd, and chased it. Yeah, as I said, maybe one, maybe two down. I can't remember now exactly. I think it was just one down. Um, in really good time as well. And then actually afterwards, the Samoan team invited the boys over and had a bit of a chat, got into a big circle and did a song. It was all very very EAP. We haven't played Samoa in such a long time. You kind of forget that they do that stuff. I mean, they didn't do it in Oman, but they were doing it here. And they bring such color and flair to the tournament that it was a pretty special day. And we had loads of people in. The stand was full. It was noisy. Ash Thurgate being cheerleader in chief. Um, and yeah, I think it really served to pick the boys up. And again, speaking to the coaches, they were like, the difference in mood from the previous game and how down everyone was after slipping up against the Cook Islands to then be all up and about and back in with a chance after that win against Samoa was a good fillip for the group, I think. Did you get a chance to watch much of that game?
Yeah, I watched the replay. I thought that the Cook Islands game first, Japan obviously didn't bat too well, but I thought with the ball I thought bowled okay actually. I mean, Thomas Parry made 48 or 49. The next bloke to make a score was Oscar Taylor at number 9. He got 22 off 21, and the rest were single figure scores. So it wasn't like there was a bad bowling. It wasn't a bad. I don't think it was a bad performance, to be honest.
There were
A few starts
a lot
looked at that.
mm,
Just couldn't get going really. But I mean, if you get beat like that, I mean, it's just one of those games, isn't it? Where you know the opening batsman Parramatta batted really well and held it all together in the end. And even Oscar Taylor, he came in and it was 70 for 4. And they've put on 54th for the last wicket to win the game, with the eighth wicket, which was their last wicket because they got him centre down. So, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's a bit of a catch-22. The result didn't go your way, but you didn't bat well, but you actually bowled well. I mean, you,
yeah.
you're one wicket away, really. Let's put it that way. And you go
Yeah,
straight through them. So it's just one of those things where I know the disappointment was there, but if you sit back now after the tournament, you kind of look back and you go, oh, you know what? We lost, but was it a bad loss? Like, really?
yeah.
Maybe. But, I mean, look, the next result was fantastic against Samoa. And like you said, it was a well-rounded performance.
We really it's probably the biggest difference between us and Papua New Guinea still is that they are so ruthless. They don't slip up and they kind of crush teams, their men's team at least. And that joy from the Samoa game did turn a little bit to I don't know what the word would be, disappointment. Certainly the bubble got a bit burst when we saw Papua New Guinea flog Vanuatu for 200 and then bowl them out for 40 for a huge net run rate boost. There was definite. I know a lot of our boys were watching that game and just sort of head in hands really because it made any prospect of us catching Papua New Guinea very difficult. And it was funny because we then played PNG in the final game of the tournament on the Monday afternoon. And again, we made a decent score. We made 120 something, I think 125 maybe, and we kept them under 100. And we won the game. But the game kind of petered out a little bit the last 3 or 4 overs. They clearly weren't going to get there, and they just batted out the overs. And I think everyone kind of knew the scenario on net run rate that we weren't going to catch them, and that they were going to finish top of the table. So we win this game, and Papua New Guinea are ranked 22nd in the world still. That's the highest ranked team Japan have ever beaten. So we win the game. I'm really up. I was really positive and really happy about how things had finished and to get that result. We've never ever beaten PNG before in the men's. So, but then I went over to the boys and they were all so flat. They were all really down, and I think it's good that they hold themselves to that standard now and that they see themselves as good enough. It's not a case of let's try and beat Papua New Guinea. It's like, oh, we're better than Papua New Guinea. And the remorse was there from having slipped up against the Cook Islands still. And they knew that they were paying for that and that they weren't winning the tournament because of that result. But I think that shows where our ambition is at as a group. But again, the boys walked across the field. There was still some support in. There was still some press there. So a few interviews and a few chats. And they got themselves back up again. And I think they began to realise actually that what they'd achieved on the day was significant, and it was a really important win. And we finished level on points with PNG. We've only come second on net run rate. It was only 3 years ago that it was the other way around, right? We actually finished level on points with Indonesia back in 2022. Sorry, 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. In that qualifier, the first qualifier after COVID, we actually finished level on points with them and did them by net run rate. So this time it was our turn to be on the receiving end of that. But I think that it's lessons learned. I think we're a better side, and one of the big topics of conversation was what the next stage is and who's going through, and those conversations are still being had in the ICC corridors. But I think it makes it very difficult for the ICC to say only one team can go through to whatever the next phase is when you've got two teams that have finished level on points and the team that finished second actually beat the team that finished top. So, we did all that we could. Obviously, if we had our time again, I think we'd try and concentrate a little bit harder and maybe took that Cook Islands game a little bit for granted, having had some positive results against them a year ago. But look, like I said, we responded really well, and the team looks in pretty good order.
Yeah, I agree. One thing you touched on in our podcast with Emerging Cricket with Daniel was, we're talking about tournaments and sorry, goes my phone again. We're talking about tournaments and previous tournaments and now where Japan cricket is at. And you were spot on, not there to participate anymore, actually there to win. And that is right through the group. I see it. I see the way they prepare. I see the way they cool down. I see the way they train. And they're just there to win. So they finished in second in the group, and I could understand the disappointment, but it was still a great effort. I mean, let's have a look. I just want to touch on the Samoa game. Sabo Ravichandran, 5 for 11 or 4 overs. Kendall goes out there, just goes, him and Shanahan, we're going to finish this early. 11.1 overs, 82 for one, hits a six to finish the game. Like, the intent is there to win. We're not there to participate anymore. And I think it's a really good mindset. And I know Dougal's really big on that, and all the coaches, Duncan, even, Creasy in there, everyone's big on that mindset of we're there to win. And I know Kendall pushes it well. So I think everything's in such a great position to move forward to the next stage. I mean, it has to be two teams, doesn't it? Regardless of both teams finishing on the same points and only run rate coming into it. I find it hard to believe you have a qualifier the size that it was and a Super Six stage where one team goes through. Surely that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, we've been told that hopefully an answer will come in July on that. So we were also told it would come in February and in May, but we continue crossing our fingers and our toes and our legs and our hair and anything else that we've got that we can cross and hope that yeah, we get good news and we get something. I mean, you got to remember that the World Cup we're qualifying for is still 2.5 years away. It's October 2028. So it's really far. So at the moment, there's like no cricket scheduled for 2027. So that's definitely something that I'm looking at now and trying to figure out what we do next. But hopefully there's some positive news that we can look forward to, and then we can start planning.
Definitely. Hopefully, yeah, there's some more cricket coming up soon for Japan. And as you said, it's 2.5 years away, the World Cup. So it's an early cycle, isn't it, for this tournament? But
It is. It is. And I mean, the interesting thing is, and maybe we'll touch on this when we next have a chat, whenever that is. I don't know if you're aware, Toddy, but there's actually a Asian Games qualifier taking place at the moment. The women are playing right now in Malaysia. There's 6 teams playing for, I guess, 3 places at the Asian Games. And next week you'll have the men's qualifier taking place in Singapore. If you'll give me a moment, I'll actually tell you which teams are participating in these events. So in the women's, I understand that it is China, Nepal, and Hong Kong, I think, are in one group. No, China, Nepal, and Indonesia are in one group.
yep.
And then Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Thailand are in the other
Spot
group.
on. You got it,
I
mate.
nailed
Well,
it. Good
just
on me.
pulled it up.
So that's been an interesting one in itself, in that China have beaten Indonesia, who are ranked 20th in the world or something, and they actually
Really?
pushed Nepal pretty close. They kept Nepal to 125, and they got to about 88 for 2, China before eventually finishing 100 and something. They finished about 15, 20 runs short. But we're in the chase at one point now. I haven't looked at today's scores, whereas Hong Kong got turned over pretty badly by Thailand. Thailand making 170 for one, and Hong Kong making just 80 odd for seven off their 20 overs. So a big win for Thailand. I'm not sure what the rest of the results are. So interesting tournament there. And then the men's happening next week. I do not have a list of the men's tournament. Do you have that handy, Todd? I reckon I can probably
No,
find
but
it.
I've got the results from today's game. So
Oh, do
Malaysia
you?
beat Hong Kong quite convincingly, and Indonesia
Okay.
are playing Nepal at the moment. Indonesia made 113 off their 20, and Nepal 6 for none
Okay.
on
So
live
Hong
score.
Kong out. That's interesting. They will not be going to the Asian Games. So they're certainly a team that I had in mind. So then I think in the men's, I know that Oman are participating and they're sending their all Omani squad. I know that I think Bahrain are participating. I'm not sure what their squad will look like. So once we get those qualifiers decided, we'll be able to reach out to some teams and start inviting teams over to play some games in Japan prior to the Asian Games. So that's what's next for the men, and for the women, which well, again we should probably talk about this as well. But the women will be off to Malaysia next week to play in the ACC Premier Cup. First match on the 4th of June. We'll get on to the women in a minute, but yeah. So the next cricket for these guys will be September, and then we'll start looking ahead to next year. So it's an exciting time, and there's still a lot to look forward to this year. And yeah, these pathway events are going to keep on coming, and the whole Nagoya experience has hopefully been whetted the appetite both for the fan base down there and for the players as well to get back and play in front of a crowd. I actually earlier today I did an interview with Radio New Zealand rather randomly who got in touch because they wanted to chat to us about where cricket's at in Japan, and they were saying what it will be like at the Asian Games, and to get that opportunity to play against full members, like our under 19 team have done it quite a bit. Played against India, Sri Lanka, Australia at the last World Cup. But for the men, we're going to go and play in the first round. We'll play against other associate teams, but if we can get through that first round of at the Asian Games for the men, and then get a chance to play against one of the big boys, and we may even get drawn in a group with one of the full members as well, because I guess Afghanistan will be in one of those groups of three. So, a real chance to see where our team measures up against, the biggest and strongest teams in the world. So that's pretty exciting. And for the women, it's a straight knockout. So Japan getting a bye through to the tournament proper will get drawn against one of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. So, again, for our women's team, what an opportunity that is to play against players at the very height of the World Games. So, yeah, exciting time, isn't it?
Yeah, very exciting times leading into the Asian Games. Yeah, hopefully that can play one of the big boys, and as my dog goes mentally in the background, I'm sure everyone can hear that in the tournament. And yeah, wouldn't it be amazing to play against India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or anyone? It'd be amazing, especially down there in Nagoya. The scenes from the EAP tournament, there was from what we saw, we were in Sano, but on the vision it looks like there was a lot of people down there enjoying cricket, and it's really opened it up to a new fan base, and hopefully that just keeps rolling on and on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the next thing to move on to, we'll update everyone once we know more about the qualifying pathway and the structures. But right now, the Women's Japan Premier League is going on, and it's yes, it's gone really really well these first 3 days. We're at break today, so rest day for everybody, which is nice because that means we get a rest as well. The tournament organisers, which has been few and far between over the last 6 weeks or so, but. Yeah, four teams. We've got the Mamashi out there as the Japanese franchise team. We've got ACT Meteors over here. We've got the Titans from South Africa, and the Pacific Rays have been reformed and reimagined. Basically, a team mostly from Melbourne. And I guess the big news is having a player of the caliber of Mignon Dupria here. Mignon's come over and has lit the tournament up. She scored 49 in her first game, went a couple better in her second to make 50, and then scored the first ever WJPL century yesterday, making 100 off 60 odd balls against ACT, who had won their first two games pretty convincingly, and then suddenly Mamashi were able to post a decent total off the back of Mignon's 100 and keep them to about 120 and win that game by about 30 runs. So, as we get to the halfway mark, it's a double round robin this tournament, so there's no final. But we've got, two teams on 4 points, and the Pacific Rays knocked over the Titans yesterday, which was another bit of an upset. And suddenly you've got 2 teams on 4 points and 2 teams on 2 points. So, the tournament's set up really nicely for the back ends. I actually had a message from the ICC EAP regional office today saying that they had yesterday's games on in their office. And I don't know if you've been able to catch any of it, Todd, but certainly from what I've been seeing, it's a level up on what it's been in the past.
Oh, definitely. I have seen some highlights, little bits of games, but yeah, the standards improved quite significantly. I think it's really going well, and I was just looking at the points table there, and like you said, everyone's won a game, which is good. And you did keep that little secret that Dupre was coming to play. I wasn't aware until I saw lined up, and I was like, "Oh, gee, you've done a good job getting this one over. Kept
Yeah,
that
that,
nice
that
and
one's
quiet."
come out pretty well. Like, I mean, this is a girl who's played something like 300 times for South Africa. She captained them about 100 times. She's got a gate named after her at one of I forget which ground now, one of the South African test grounds has a gate named after Mignon du Preez, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, she actually went to school with the wife of our S&C. So Devon Van Onselen's wife went to school with Mignon, and then Devon worked with her when she used to be at the Titans. And during COVID, he worked very closely with her to help her stay in shape during that period, because she was, early mid-30s at that point. She actually had twins a year ago. So she's still, feeling her way back into the game. But she made 100 yesterday. I went over to congratulate her, and the first thing she said was, "Yeah, still got it." I was like, "Yeah, definitely have." Yeah, she's a class above, but actually, it's been great speaking to some of the Japanese girls on that team with her, just saying what they're learning from her, and how she's been a fantastic sort of mentor already. She actually ran a masterclass with all the Japanese girls the day before the tournament started, on playing spin. So it was great. They had about 20 girls in there, all hanging off of every word that she was saying. So that was really good of her to give up that time. She's only flown in the day before. It's a long flight from Cape Town to Japan. So for her to do that, come in on a day off and work with our players and just share some of her knowledge was really, really good of her. And she's been a real terrific ambassador so far. And as you said, in terms of the standard, I think from what I'm watching, definitely the skills are significantly higher. The batting and bowling has been much, much better. And it's actually getting better throughout the tournament as well. The first day, I think there's probably a few nerves around, there's probably a bit of rust for some players. There was quite a few extras bowled on day one, but on day two, they almost disappeared. And everyone's a bit more comfortable, everyone's a bit more settled now. And yeah, there's some of the fielding still needs a bit of work, but all in all, it's been incredibly positive. And even speaking to Chelsea Mossgrips here as team manager with the ACT team. Of course, she captained Mamushi last year. And I said to her, "Oh, your players, your team's pretty good. I mean, Grace Lyons looks like a serious player. She's all of 5'0", but she whacks the ball miles. She's got every shot in the book. She's got good hands behind the stumps as well. And you're looking at these players and thinking, geez, there's some real talented cricketers there." And Chelsea was like, "Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd want to play in this tournament now. It's actually might move past me pretty quickly. The standard's pretty good." I still reckon Chelsea will go okay, but it's great when you got players actually saying it themselves, that they're seeing it and they're seeing the improvement and they're seeing how the level's going up, and that's only going to keep going, right? So as we continue to push this tournament onwards, I think that the standards will continue to rise, and that's only going to be good for the level of women's cricket in Japan, and hopefully everyone gets through it unscathed. We have had one injury to a member of the women's national team already, who was due to go to Malaysia next week. So there's been a replacement called in there, which will be announced in due course. But hopefully we get through the next 3 days without any more injuries to key players. Last year, of course, Erica Odo got injured right on the final day of the WJPL and missed the international series international tournament against Hong Kong and Philippines and the other teams that were here last year. So fingers crossed, touching wood, that doesn't happen again, and we managed to keep everyone fit and healthy. But some of the Japan girls have been going really well. Nonoha Yasumoto and Hilia Chandel have both picked up MVP awards. So the fast bowlers are in good nick, and hopefully the batters start contributing some runs as well. Aya Kato Stafford batted pretty well in partnership with Mignon yesterday. So yeah, positive signs for sure. And we've seen Seikasumi and Haruna Iwasaki pick up a few runs for the Titans as well. So lots of opportunities for the girls and yeah, some performances to boot.
Yeah, I think this tournament has a lot of potential to grow. Seen it grow over the last, couple of years, and I think that with the standard and the better players coming over and just lifts all cricket and really good for the local players to get, good exposure to really good players and get some good coaching. So yeah, I think it's well worth pushing on with, and who knows where this one could go. Maybe get another team in the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely conversations being had around that. Um, we spoke a little bit about the ACC Premier Cup. I guess I should probably run through that. I don't know exactly what's been announced about this tournament yet. Nothing's been announced on our socials, I don't think, but I can probably run you through a little bit of information on the tournament, at least from a structure. Um, Japan will be playing in Group A alongside Thailand, Myanmar, Bahrain, and Mongolia. So it's a 18-team tournament. Can you imagine that, Toddy? We just did a 19 tournament and it nearly killed me. Can you imagine doing 18
Oof.
teams? So fair play to Malaysia
Wow.
that they're able to do that. So two groups of five, two groups of four, with 8 teams advancing to quarterfinals, and then semi-finals. All the semi-finalists qualify for the Asia Cup. So that's the structure. We've got to play those for the 4 teams, so we get an extra game, which is quite nice. Our first game is the 4th of June, and we play Mongolia, the team that we've played before, of course, so we know a little bit about them. And then probably the biggest game for us is Myanmar, who I believe are ranked one place above us at the moment. So that's on the 6th of June. And then on the 7th, we will play Bahrain, who are just ranked very close behind us, I believe. So a couple of good matches there on the 6th and 7th of June, and then another rest day on the 8th, and on the 9th, we've got the game against Thailand, who will be very strong favourites for probably for the whole tournament, to be honest. And then the 10th of June is quarterfinals day. So, hopefully we book our place in the quarterfinals and come up against, I think if we get through that, we would be playing the teams from Group D, who are Nepal and Hong Kong. So Nepal, Hong Kong, Bhutan, and Qatar. You'd be expecting Nepal and Hong Kong to be the ones getting out of that group. So, be coming up against a potential familiar face if we can get out of our group. And who knows, any chance of overcoming one of those guys and booking a place at the Asia Cup would be pretty special for the women. So yeah, it's a tournament to look forward to. I'm definitely excited about watching that tournament, see how the girls have moved on from the tournaments they had last year. As I mentioned, success in the Women's Invitational here in Japan, beating Hong Kong, and then finishing fourth in the EAP, which was probably about right, but they've had a good winter of training and hopefully playing this tournament helps get everyone ready. There's a few players unavailable, unfortunately. Akari Nishimura has picked up an injury, and that's why she's not playing in the WJPL. And Erica Toguchi Quinn, unfortunately, won't be part of the team either because she's got work commitments that she can't get out of. But the good news is Ayaka Kato Stafford will be part of the team in between Australia under-19 duties. And she has a rookie contract for Queensland now as well. So she's certainly going places, and we're lucky to have her for now. And hopefully we can use her as a weapon in these spin friendly conditions in Malaysia and knock over some teams.
Yeah, good luck to the girls. Hasn't the move to the ACC just opened up all these doors for more cricket, especially for the women's team? Like if you said to me 3 years ago they'd be playing in all these tournaments and playing all this cricket, I'd probably laugh at you, to be honest. But it's just opened all these doors, and it's fantastic. They have improved a lot, and there's been a lot. I know there's been a lot of time and effort gone into the women's program, and a lot of coaching and a lot of exposure now, and getting everyone's getting better, and it just has opened up all these doors for the ACC tournaments, and hopefully they keep moving forward. I'm sure they will, and they get better, and hopefully one day they can top the tables in these good tournaments. Whilst I was looking at the ACC website for the women's tournament, I saw the men's Asian Games qualifier, Alan, which we just touched on before, which is in Singapore. It's a pretty good tournament. Looking at the teams, you've got Bahrain, China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Nepal, Oman, Qatar, and Singapore. So that's kicking off on the 31st of May. So it's another strong tournament for the teams looking to qualify for the Asian Games.
Yeah, it's a big couple of weeks for cricket in this region, actually in the Asia sort of Asia Pacific region, if you like, rather than the East Asia Pacific. It's very much busy for men and women. What with the Women's Premier Cup, the qualifier, the men's qualifier too. There's a lot going on. So I mean, it's fair play. I know a lot of teams withdrew from these tournaments, from the Asian Games qualifiers. I don't know much details, but I know there was quite a significant cost involved for some of the teams. And I think I spoke to one of the teams that was here, and they just said, "Look, yeah, we're realistic in our chances of qualifying, and it just wasn't worth spending the money to go." And I wonder if a few people probably made that same call. Because when I saw it originally, it was like 13 teams in each of them, and I think it's down to sort of just six in the women, and how many teams you rolled off there? Probably about eight or nine in the men's.
Yeah,
So
nine. Yeah,
nine in the end. So yeah, I think that
right.
that's impacted a few, but I know there's a few teams that aren't there. UAE not competing,
Mm.
and Kuwait not competing in the men's. So a couple of noticeable absentees, and I think that means that even if Japan weren't given a place as host, we probably would have qualified on rankings anyway, for that men's tournament. So yeah, it's interesting they're doing this qualifier. I don't think they've ever done it before, so it's gonna be really interesting to see because, as far as I'm aware, they're picking squads that are eligible for the Asian Games themselves. So I know Oman is sending a passport only squad, so it'll be really interesting to see what Bahrain's squad looks like. It'll be really interesting to see what Hong Kong's squad looks like, and it'll be really interesting to see what Qatar as well, another team that we played very recently. Singapore too. I don't know what their passport holder situation is as well. So yeah, really excited about that tournament. And once that tournament's over, I'll definitely be on the blower to a couple of those teams to see if we can get them over here for some games. Exciting times. So I guess the other thing that we should touch on is we haven't just had you over here, and you mentioned the coaches at the JPL, and I've just mentioned some of the people here for the WJPL, but we've also had a couple of groundsmen over from Cricket ACT, part of our burgeoning partnership with them. We had Todd 2, as he's become known, Todd Darrington, come over, and we've currently still got Harry Marshall with us from Cricket ACT. It's must have made a pleasant change for you to have someone else around who actually knew what they were doing and was able to help with the workload a little bit.
Yeah, it was good having Todd Darrington from ACT there. He's very experienced operator, and he's worked at Wimbledon and Lords, and now at Manuka Oval. And he was happy to come over and give us a hand, which was great to have another set of hands. And I used a bit of a, I was trying to teach him and a bit of a learning opportunity for him. It's a lot different in Japan to doing normal wickets. Everything's different. The soil structure is different. The facility's different grass type, and there's a few challenges with weather. So I was trying to teach him, give him an opportunity to learn some different things, and he was great. He was fantastic. He really put in the hard yards. Like, it's long days in Japan. There's only two of us. Normally it's one, but it was good to have another set of hands. But we're there at 7:30 in the morning, and we don't leave till 5:36 at night. So it is long, and I think towards the end he was getting a bit tired, but he did a great job, and he was there for I think a day or two by himself after I left before Harry arrived. And I've heard great things about Harry too, Alan. You've said he's fitting in well and doing a great job too. So really good for this partnership, and I know Todd's talking about next year already. So it'd be great to get him back if he wants to come back next year and keep this partnership going with ACT Cricket. I'm sure Harry would be welcome back too. So I think onwards and upwards, and I think it's really good that maybe you can do a bit of an exchange. I'm not sure if you've spoken about that yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe
something
seeing
we're
some
looking
people
at.
over to ACT would be good. So, yeah, good partnership, and I'm sure it'll grow and get better and better.
We had a couple of days, didn't we, Todd? You know, when you look back over the whole period and the time in Japan, I know for you, obviously coming in every year, once a year, sometimes twice a year, across such a long spell, 11 years now you've been coming to Japan. There's always like little things that stand out from your time. I'm gonna wager that the covers day, when it took you, me, and Todd an hour to remove all the covers, will be one of the standout memories from this visit, and that really really was one of the low points for this tournament. Just to give everyone some perspective, we had how many covers do you reckon we had? We had like nine covers to remove. I mean, a whole load of blue sheets plus the big old white covers. And it was one of those days. Anyone who's been to Sarno will know these days when the wind gets up, the Sarno doctor comes in, and there's just there's just no way you can manage anything. And the covers were just wet enough for us to get absolutely soaked every time we tried to lift them up, and the wind got hold of them, and we couldn't even fold them up, and there was not enough weight to keep them down. The wind was just pulling them back onto the outfield. Oh God, that was a low point. And we talked about it a little bit before we came on, Todd. You just missed it, but like you left at lunchtime on whatever day it was. I reckon it was the Thursday that you left during the EAP. And about an hour after you left, it started to rain. We had new covers, which was fantastic. So we got the new covers on, but they were brand new. And we found out after we pulled them out that they didn't have any eyelets in them, so they couldn't be pegged down. So there were about 7 or 8 of us just standing on the covers, acting as human weights to keep the covers on, whilst the facilities manager, Big Benzo, was frantically driving around trying to find some sandbags or some water containers to stop the covers from blowing away and park the roller on them, park the van on them. Yeah, that was working part time as a sandbag wasn't something I had in my job description, but we really do make sure we do it all here at Japan Cricket. And those days, they're doing the covers, and it's basically anything that involves covers is a low point. But they do also add a lot of a lot of comedy to proceedings, and it's funny how those battles and overcoming those challenges are actually the things that really stand out in my memory when I look back at these tournaments. It's a good bonding experience, isn't it? Me, and Toddy, we spend a bit of time in cars and sitting under the tent, but those kind of getting through that struggle together kind of brings you closer together, doesn't it?
It sure does. I actually forgot about that, but it was, yeah, an interesting morning, that one. Yeah, so we got to the ground. It rained quite a bit the night before, so there was a bit of water around. And there was Geordie Wright from ICC was assisting us too. And I'd like to say,
Of course
give
it
a
does,
shout out
yeah.
to Geordie. Actually, he was phenomenal with us through the tournament. He drove us everywhere. He had the car, so he was the driver. He assisted with everything on the ground. He never said no to anything. He was driving people to electronic stores late at night to get cables when people had rocked up and haven't got the right plugs. And he was getting up early in the morning and driving people to the ground and going picking up other people. And he helped with the covers. He was putting tents in. He was doing everything. So shout out to Geordie. Thanks for all your help. And he was there that morning with the covers too. One other thing which was in my mind
That,
was
that's definitely a fair shout. I should echo that. George was outstanding, and is not only that, but the only thing you missed was his willingness to crack in with the Japanese too. Was provided a good bit of atmosphere and a good giggle to some of the Japanese staff too.
yes, he was having his best endeavors at the learning Japanese, and practicing his Japanese was a highlight for me. I thought it was quite funny, and he's a good person, Geordie. So thanks for all your help, and wish him all the best in his future. And one other thing was, I'm not sure what game it was, but in the first round of games, it was at the first pool games at the SOCG. We had the covers on, and we had match referee Shane put the covers
Mm.
on with us.
Shane
Remember?
O'Connor, yeah.
Shane
I was going to
O'Connor
mention
came
that
out in his
earlier.
suit, took the covers
Yeah,
off, or put them on. I couldn't believe it.
former New Zealand international. He's there in his suit. Yeah, I was going to mention that actually when we were talking about the pro players and the JPL doing the covers. It was first time I've seen a match referee get out there and pull the covers as well. So yeah, it just shows, doesn't it? Like everyone, the people who we've had over this year, I feel, have really got it. They've really understood what cricket in associate nations is. They've really kind of got behind it and mucked in, and it's been really, really special to see sort of people just just everyone wanting what's best for cricket here. And Geordie, you've just mentioned. There are a couple of other guys who came over. There was another Jordan Cavill. There was a guy called Mike from Cricket NZ. There was another guy from Cricket NZ as well, whose name escapes me. Will Kindly, what a great name, was here as well. So just so many people around, so many people giving their expertise, their knowledge, and their muscle to help Japan Cricket get along. And we had the Cricket Clubs guys, had Emily O'Brien here, of course, running the whole tournament in her usual flair. Yeah, it's been great, and 3 more days as far as I'm concerned to go to get all this cricket wrapped up, and then straight to planning what's next. It doesn't really stop, but yeah, it's been a fantastic season. And then we'll be turning our attention to club cricket and the Asian Games. So plenty still to look forward to this year. And yeah, thanks to everyone for tuning in. And this pod's probably gone a little bit longer than I was planning, but as always, there's so much to talk about. So thanks for joining, Toddy, and we will touch base again soon.
Thanks, Alan, and we'll see everyone in the next pod.
Let's go some of this stuff.